Done it again. Usually it just undoes it itself. StreamYard, you've done me. Let's start that one again. Good evening, welcome. It's All for United WFC. It is lovely to have your presence once again with us, and hopefully you've had a fantastic weekend. What's not to love? The men have won 4 in a row, the women have won 5 in a row, and everything's coming up rosy. It's wonderful. So hopefully you guys are having a great time. Let's just double check. Becca, how are you feeling? All well with you?
I'm good, thank you. It feels weird having a Saturday match. It feels like it was ages ago rather than yesterday. But yeah, no, I'm all good, thank you.
Yeah, it's a bit strange having it on the Saturday lunchtime, but they're quite nice as well because it means I get to watch it full on, which is lovely. Jess, how are you doing apart from feeling uncomfortable?
I am good. Mostly I have a trapped nerve in my shoulder to neck region, so I've got a little heat pad around my neck. I also have another one that's like electric and plugged in, so I'm just trying to stay warm so I don't seize back up again. But otherwise, the women won, the men won. I could get used to this. I am concerned that this keeps happening because it was so rare that both teams would win on the same weekend, and it just keeps happening, and I could really, really get used to it. So all in all, I actually can't complain.
Good. It's always nice when we can't complain. That is an absolute positive for sure. Well, let's start to delve into it. I'll be honest, as I just said to the ladies backstage, I'm gobsmacked if we make it past half an hour talking about this game, really, because I don't know what it is, Jess. I'll throw it to you first, purely for longevity on the show. But I was trying to think back over these games against Leicester, and I can't recall one for a long time that's actually been like a really enjoyable game to watch, one where we've played incredibly well and not struggled to sort of break them down. Is that something that you've noticed over the last few years?
Yeah, I guess to some extent. I mean, we did pretty well. Was it last time we played them? We won kind of 3 or 4-0, 4-0, I think it was. I guess that one was okay, but I think you're right. Kind of head to head, I feel like there's been a lot of 1-0, 2-0, like 2-1, even like some draws thrown in there. It has always been a little bit bland. I think quite often we struggle. Well, I think I've been saying this for years. We struggle to break down teams that kind of play a really like low block and play a very defensive formation, which you would expect Leicester to play, being where they are in the league. So quite often we do struggle to break those teams down. What we tend to find with a lot of teams, not really Leicester, but a lot of the other ones, once we do get a goal, we kind of like build momentum. But I didn't really feel that we did that. Like Leicester didn't really look threatening massively at any point. I thought we looked really good defensively. But you're right, there wasn't really a lot going on, kind of either end. And maybe, do you know what, in a game like that, we've got obviously the midweek game. Maybe it's actually not the worst thing in the world to kind of, rather than hammer everyone forward, run them into the ground, trying to get like 4, 5, 6 goals, whatever, which I know we are more than capable of doing against that Leicester team. Maybe just kind of playing it safe and just getting that kind of 2-0, just getting the points on the board at this stage in the season. I think maybe that is just good enough.
I mean, I tend to agree as well with that one. I mean, puzzling times saying at this point in the season, I would rather win boring than have an exciting loss. And I don't think I'm advocating that we should have been, swashbuckling necessarily, but it's interesting that we do the prediction league, obviously, and every time that comes around, Becca, I'm 3, 4, 5-0 Manchester United, because you look at it and you think, well, it's Leicester. They're sitting near the bottom of the table. Shouldn't be causing us a problem. But every single season, we seem to long it out until we finally get, it's usually 2 or 3-0 maybe, but it just seems to take a little while to get there. What did you make of how we've been getting on against Leicester? Are you agreeing with Jess? Do you think that maybe we were one eye on midweek?
Yeah, I think a lot of people went into that game predicting 4-0. No one was really predicting a low scoreline. I thought we were going to be quite comfortable. But going in at 9:30 at 1-0, all it takes is a quick counteract and Rachel Williams' header to make it an equaliser. It's a little bit more nervy than I'd have liked it to have been, but I think it was quite like a calm game in the sense of we were attacking and we had the possession, but we weren't playing anything, like Jess said, overly dangerous or nothing too stressful, I think.
I think so. I mean, looking at the general stats, obviously we watched the game as we said, but possession 64% for United, so Leicester not really holding much of the ball. United with more shots on target. Leicester only managed 7, only 3 of them on target, and they were just outpassed. No clear-cut chances for Leicester, only 1 for us. We had 12 corners, they had 3. So when you start looking at all of these stats, 4 saves for Leicester, 3 for United, you just kind of sit there and think, as you've just said, it's just not that exciting. Leicester weren't really doing too much, as you say, up top, and as a result, didn't really give us too much to worry about. And as a result, that just sort of, like I say, I think it just puts the game into a little bit of a lull, which is a shame when you consider it was a televised fixture. So not ideal, but in terms of the result, absolutely brilliant. And as Kate says here, given the block of games you've got to come, pretty happy with the game. Should have scored more, but Leicester weren't really a threat. And I think that's it. At no point were we worried that we weren't going to win the game, but we did take a while to kill it off. And you know that that's very important to do so. So, only 2 changes, Jess, from the side that beat Liverpool at the weekend. Not really changes that I think would have been too surprised about. Obviously, Hannah Lundqvist coming in for Jade Riviere at right back, and Leah Schuller coming on for Elisabeth Terland at the start. I think we've spoken to a lot of people so far about the starting lineup, but have you reached the point now where it doesn't really matter what the starting 11 is to you? Do you feel like whatever that starting 11 is, we know it's going to be a very positive way of playing, really, from the squad?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when the lineup was released, kind of for the first time, I felt like I looked at the bench and was like, that is a really strong bench. Like, it's the first time, obviously we've had that bench for a few weeks now, but that is the first time that I have properly looked at it and gone like, wow, like that is, you have starting players on that bench. Leicester must see that and think, God, they've got these kind of level of game-changing players literally just sat on the bench waiting to come on. And I think that is something that I don't think we've ever really had. We're quite fortunate at the minute, not really got too many kind of detrimental injuries, touch every bit of wood available. So we're doing well on that front. But I think if you look back to previous seasons, we've turned up, even the start of this season, to be fair, we have turned up to some games and you're looking at the bench and you're thinking, oh, this is like, where are the game changers really here? Where are like the kind of quality players? So yeah, I think within reason, any combination of players could get put on that pitch and I would be absolutely fine. Obviously, there's an argument against like over-rotating the squad, so playing a bunch of players that aren't used to playing together. But I think, to be honest, the quality of players we have got and the level of professionalism on and off the bench, I just think that, yeah, you can kind of make any changes. I think Jade really needed a rest. I think there was a comment somewhere just now about how she didn't really need to come on, and I probably agree with that. Personally, I probably wouldn't have brought her on. That's probably another conversation. But yeah, it's just so nice to see. I am honestly so happy with our squad at the minute, and yeah, I am just so excited to see the rest of the season out.
Yeah, it's a massive situation to be in with having the squad as deep as we seem to at the moment, Becca. But as a few people have said, I say a few, I've only seen it once, but generally, Lanzell saying, I always think with games like Leicester, we could have maybe given Millie and Gabby some minutes. And actually, I feel like that's probably, not that I want to come across in any negative fashion on this one, but it's probably the only thing you could throw at Mark Skinner potentially there, is that this is one of those games where if you are a Millie Turner or you are a Gabby George, you're thinking this surely gives us a chance to step in and start and get some minutes and keep us a little bit fresh, because you want the players to be fresh for if they're needed. we get an injury to Maya or an injury to Don, Millie's going to have to step in. If Anna's not able to play, Gabby's going to need to step in. So you want these players to be match ready. And with this block of games coming up that everybody's talking about at the moment, it might have been sensible to give those girls a start. As it was, not only did they not start, but they didn't even come on.
Yeah, I think it is the perfect opportunity to play them, give them some minutes, especially bringing Millie back in from injury for so long and getting as much minutes as possible. I was happy, though, to see Hannah Lundqvist start and Shula start, so having a bit of a difference in the starting lineup there. So whether or not he didn't want too much of a change, like having some kind of level of consistency, maybe it was that. But I think that would have been a good opportunity to see Millie, definitely, and Gabby. But yeah, I'm happy with whoever we start, to be honest, same as Jess. Whoever we've got starting on the bench to come on. We've obviously got a record now for our goals with substitutions, so having those people on the bench making a difference, making an impact is huge as well and paying off. So yeah, I'm happy with whoever.
Fair enough. I'm equally as intrigued by this one. I've had a little search to see if she said anything lately that I'm that I would be expecting her to not have said or that's worried me. But I don't know what they are. So if you could let us know, Paul, we can discuss that a bit deeper if we need to, or if you want us to. That's not a problem at all. Connor was very impressed with your aesthetics, Becca. Apparently,
I've got about 15 photo frames that I need to hang up, so I'm going to have my hammer and nails out later, putting holes in my walls.
There you go. Mine doesn't change. You know, I don't know what I would add if I am honest with that one. But there we go. So yeah, very, very, very interesting in terms of how the game was set up, and we took the lead quite early on, 13 minutes I think it took, and God bless her. You've got to love Julia, because Orange and Passion Fruit came out immediately after the game and said, yeah, it's cross. I was aiming for Leah, Mr. Ed, and in it went. But it's one of those ones that you always talk about it when you're coaching and you're playing with these players. You ask them to bend it, obviously to go towards that far post. It's a bit like the old free kicks that they used to be taking as well, where you're deliberately aiming it towards the far post so that hopefully the goalkeeper's moving towards the far post, and then if somebody does get a nick on it, they haven't got the time to move their weight to be able to react to that touch. And of course, if they do think somebody's going to touch it and don't, they hopefully get bested by the ball going at the far post, which is exactly what happened here. Jess, lots of people talking about that goal. Although it's not a outright, yes, brilliant goal, it's still 3 goals on the trot. She's scored from a corner. She's scored from that particular shot as well. It's been quite fantastic, really, watching how she has started to get in the goals and just millimetres off Leah Schiller's first WSL goal.
Yeah, I think in terms of the cross shot, crot, whatever you want to call it, like, you've got to be in it to win it. And like you said, Barry, you kind of taught from a young age to you aim for the corner in that kind of position, because if someone gets their head on it, chances are they're knocking it near post past the keeper. And if they don't, then you've still got a chance of hitting the kind of far post. And I think it was almost like a perfect cross anyway. I think, was it Schuller was very unlucky not to actually get ahead on that. And yeah, the whip on it was really good. And I think that's probably what psyched the keeper out. She probably thought she was expecting it to kind of change direction essentially. But it didn't. And yeah, like I said, you've got to be in it to win those. And she's just proving that actually she should maybe start thinking about taking on shots more kind of purposefully, because she's clearly got a very good boot on her. She's, like you said, she's scored one from a corner and when she was supposed to be crossing now. So quite honestly, just keep them coming. I think she's been a fantastic signing in general, to be honest. I think she's probably one of my favourite players I think I've seen come to us recently. She's been absolutely fantastic. And yeah, she's proven her worth basically. And that comment says it all. You've got to, even just having a player in the box distracting the keeper sometimes can be enough. And in this case, it was. You could argue maybe the keeper should do better, but again, the keeper's expecting that ball to basically go in the opposite direction. She's expecting the attacker to kind of probably get ahead on that. And I think she probably just gets stuck a little bit kind of wrong-footed. And kind of, 13, 14, 15 minutes in, that's like a flying start. I think that was the disappointing part, as we've already covered, was the fact that we didn't go on to do anything. Usually when we get one, we tend to kind of floodgates open a little bit, but it is what it is.
It very much is what it is. You're not kidding there at all. And again, for you, Becca, I know that if Charlie was on today, she would be waxing lyrical about how Julia has got involved in the team and all of the work that she does. And she is just one of those. I watched her, and we'll get on obviously to the next goal as well, but she's almost taken on, and I say this with absolute love and affection, a bit of the Rachel William role as well, because she's just getting her body about. She's not fussed about getting involved in a tackle. She gives energy every single time she plays. It's almost like the spirit of Rachel Williams is still in the club, but it's just been gifted to her. She's just been absolutely everywhere these last few weeks.
Oh, she's amazing. And you might have to be careful of getting me started talking about Julia Zigiotti, because this might fill the whole show. But she's just everywhere. Like, wherever you need her, she is up and down that pitch. She throws herself at players, at the ball, at everything. Just absolutely fearless. And yeah, she gets some great balls into the box, into the net, even if she doesn't plan it. I just think she's just such a good signing that we've had. And it felt like we were waiting for a while for her to get that first goal. And then now we've hit January, February, and it's just 3 goals in 5 matches. Yeah, she's just my favourite. I'll try not to go on too much about her.
No, that's fine. You said she's your favourite. Why? Tell us more about why. I always think this is important, that people, if they're going to have the chance to say that, can give us their reasons why. And I'm not trying to pick on the spot. It's not a negative in that respect. But like, genuinely, I could always argue why Katie Zellum was my favourite. And it didn't bother me in the slightest whether people agreed with me or not. So what is it that you've seen from her that has given you that feeling?
I think she's just so enjoyable to watch. She's such a fun player to watch. And there was a comment there that she was the best thing about a boring match, because she doesn't necessarily have to be scoring the goals, but any kind of impact she has on the play is just always impressive. And yeah, I just really like watching her play, and watching her give everything. She just doesn't seem to tire. She's got so much energy, gives it 110%. And I just think she's a really fun player to have on the team and watch.
That's fair. I think that is absolutely fair. Lots of people talking about Elisabeth Terland, and we will get to the comments that were made after the game as well on that one. But it was just, I think, sort of one of those games, really. Like we said, it wasn't a huge amount happening during the match, which was a bit of a shame. I mean, Mark Skinner said afterwards, it wasn't vintage us. We found a way to win. It was frustrating. Jess, I know you sort of touched on it in your last answer, but when you think about the fact that we're 1-0 up, usually we get an early goal in a game like that, and we do go on to score 2, 3, 4 more. Part of that's got to be given to Olivia Clark, hasn't it? Because there were some really good opportunities that were had that she made a lot of good saves for. Melvine Mallard, a player who I think the last few weeks has actually been really quite good. I've criticised her for not getting the ball on target as much as she could do. I feel like she's got a lot more on target as of late, and she's forced the goalkeepers to make saves, and let's be honest, that's what they're paid for. So, she's making them do that. That can only be a positive, and it won't be long until she can take advantage of that. But she made a lot of really good saves, including another one from Elisabeth Terland after she got the second goal. So, do we have to credit the goalkeeper, Olivia Clark, for Leicester when we're getting frustrated over the scoreline, or do we still feel like our team are more capable of putting that ball in the back of the net more times than we did? I fear that Jess is frozen. This does not look promising. I know that she said she had a trapped nerve, but now she is trapped there in that screen, stuck in that position, and we shall wait for her to wake up and be back with us. And I'll ask you that question instead, Becca, whilst we wait. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we had a lot of close shots. Oh, she's gone there. She's given up. Yeah, I think we had quite a few close calls. We had some shots from Mel. I think Simi had a good shot as well, and Terry had a couple in the second half. So yeah, we definitely had more opportunities that we could have got for it to be a higher scoreline. So credit to Leicester and the defence as well. They were really putting up a fight against us. We should have got more. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, we should have got more. You're quite right. And it's interesting. I mean, Truth's saying there that we didn't create much. I mean, again, as I said, 14 shots, 6 on target. I don't think that's too bad at all, really. 4 of them were saved, and then 2 of them were scored. So, very much the case that those 6 on target, it wasn't a load of blocked shots. We did get some. Welcome back, Jess. But for them, their blocked shots, as I say, from us was minimal. 2 they did manage to block. So I never know with the blocked shots whether or not they actually count the goalkeeper being in the way as one of those. You can never quite be sure. Lovely to have you back, Jess. We were a little bit worried there. We knew that you had a trapped nerve, and then you were just sort of stuck in internet space. But I don't know how much of the question you heard, so I'll repeat it as briefly as I could. But Olivia Clark, we were saying, had a bit of a blinder really in goal, and it wasn't so much a case of us not being as ruthless potentially as we can be with our shooting, because we were almost 50-50 in terms of shots on target for shots taken. It was just her defending her brilliant saves, and they were good saves as well. They weren't like these ones that were hit straight at her that she just had to use reflexes for. She was getting down to the bottom, digging balls out. She was like the ghost of Gordon Banks had turned up back at Leicester. It was absolutely unreal. So what did you make of that? Do you think we still should have had the teeth to maybe get a few more, or do we just sometimes have to go, do you know what, fair play, goalkeeper did well?
I think if we'd have really wanted to, I think we could have definitely pushed forward and got more. Like I said in kind of like the first segment, I think maybe playing conservative this week was not the worst thing in the world, especially considering Clark's saves. She saved a good one from Mallard. I think Terland actually just before her goal, or I can't think, sometime just before she scored, she let off a shot which I actually would have said was probably easier to score than the goal she actually scored. And both times Clark got down quite low to kind of push him around the other side of the goal. So she did do really well. And for teams like Leicester, Leicester always seem to have a great keeper. They had Leipzig for ages, and they can sometimes kind of stay in games purely because of the keeper. That's right. My laptop is telling me I have no internet again, so apologies if I vanish once again. So yeah, I think a little bit of both. If United really wanted it, they absolutely could have kicked on. But based on how the keeper was playing, I think it was going to take something kind of special or mistakes to beat her. And like Barry, I think you'd already kind of run through some of the stats. I think we had like 6 shots on target, which is pretty good. We've sat down here and done shows where we've had like 20 odd shots and about 3 on target. And again, some of those were good shots. So I'm not overly concerned. And again, going right back to the start, some of the comments said that this stage of the season, sometimes these boring games are absolutely fine. Because in the past, we've seen games like this that we've drawn or really struggled with, and even picked up a few losses in previous seasons on games like this where we should win, but we kind of just get dragged down almost with the kind of slow momentum of the game. So I think even the fact that we were able to kind of not even grind out a 2-0 win, because we did do it pretty comfortably, isn't actually a bad thing. And if you compare it to this time in previous seasons, it's actually an improvement, to be honest, I would say. some of the games I remember, probably from the season that we finished second, I think it was, which was probably about 3 or 4 years ago now. It felt like we were sort of doing like smash and grabs. Like we were winning right in the last minute. You know, Garcia was scoring last minute goals. Williams was scoring last minute goals. And as you know, you wouldn't class that as boring. That was great fun. But also I spent every game thinking I was going to have a heart attack. So to be honest, a comfortable 2-0 win in the long run is actually preferable over where we were really a few seasons ago, where we were just throwing Rachel Williams up front and hoping for the best. Who, by the way, I absolutely adore Rachel Williams. So I'm just so happy that we got to see her again. Just want to throw that out there now because I love her. I think she's great.
It was a beautiful moment watching the video of her after she'd been subbed, wandering around past United fans, and the little clap that she got, the brilliant reception that she was given by the United fans as well, I think was wonderful, and really, really nice, as we say, because she has been a player who's given her everything, given absolutely all that she could for us, and a very deserved response from the fans, which was good. Gareth, same pitch seemed a bit heavy too, like every other pitch in the country right now. I don't know if you picked up a bit of turf, Gareth, but it is quite heavy. So I think I fully agree with you on that one there. Right, let's get to the Terland goal, because the Terland goal, we'll talk a bit about the subs in general and the lovely stats that have been coming out of the game from that as well. But before we do, let's just take a look at the goal itself, because for me, this is a fabulous goal. Where I said that Julia was really beginning to channel her inner Rachel Williams, that was pretty much what happened in this goal. You've got to feel a little bit sorry for Santini, for Leicester. She's got the ball. She thinks she's got plenty of time. Next thing she knows, she's on her backside eating grass as Julia just comes bottling through her, no problems whatsoever, and gives the ball, of course, to Elisabeth Terland, who had a lot of work to do. She could have lost that ball at least 3 times while she was in there in that box. She didn't. Her close ball control, superb, and then through the legs and into the bottom corner. It was genuinely, for me, probably one of my favourite goals this season, actually, just in terms of how the link-up was and as I say, the skill that was used. Becca, what did you make of that goal? And we had somebody who just said, I think it was Olivia, where's she gone? She was basically asking what our thoughts were. There we go, on Ziggy's challenge in the build-up to Terry's goal. So number one, was it a foul? I'll give my thoughts later. And what did you make of the goal? Brilliant from Elisabeth Terland.
No, I mean, it had been quite a physical game already. There'd been, I think, between Ziggy and Alicia Lehman as well, they'd been on the floor more times than there were shots on target. They were constantly rolling around. So it had been quite physical anyway. I think it had been quite fair in the free kicks that were given to both sides. So I don't think it was. I think it was just kind of a physical challenge. Terry, I think, was so composed and controlled. Like you said, she could have just taken a shot at any point that she had that ball. But she kept it and was turning and kind of confusing the defence, and her angle on it to get to Meg's the defender, get to the right-hand corner. It was just so composed. It was like she was really determined that she was going to get that. And yeah, it was a really, really good goal. Really good to see it from Terry, and especially coming on, making that impact. I think she really deserved it.
Completely agree. Jess, same question to you.
Hang on, I think I've just muted my sound. Yes, I have. I'm having an absolute nightmare this evening. It's like I have never used a laptop before in my life. It's literally like my first day on planet Earth. In my defense, the internet was not my fault. That just did it by itself. Anyway, yeah, I thought Terland's goal was absolutely fantastic. Like you said, Barry, she should have lost that ball probably 3 times over. And I rate what she did, because like that's pure striker, because that's pretty selfish. And you've got to back yourself to do that. Her kind of close control there in the box, I think there was 2 or 3 players surrounding her, and to have the composure to, just keep moving the ball around until she managed to find some space for herself and then finish. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. A really great striker's goal. And I know we'll probably talk about this anyway, but I think it'll definitely help build into her confidence, and it starts kind of giving Skinner a nice headache to have, because who do you start? Who do you, but that's the great thing about having a big team. In terms of the challenge for me, this might be biased. Obviously, we all could be biased because we're United fans, but I wouldn't like to see that given as a foul, because it's good to see a little bit of physicality, especially having a player in midfield who is kind of willing to do that kind of grunt work and step forward and put the player under pressure. We've missed that quite a bit in previous seasons. We've not pressed high enough, but having a player that's willing to chase down defenders almost and put them under pressure and force them to make a mistake, that is how you get goals. And that is exactly how this goal came about. So absolutely buzzing. And like you say, it is very Rachel Williams-esque. Just run at your player, let them know you're there, and put them under pressure and let them make a mistake. So yeah, the whole playthrough for that goal was absolutely stunning, and she didn't really have any right to kind of be able to keep the ball under that close control, but very, very impressive footwork for me there.
Really, really was. And as a result, that's why our 2 goal scorers, Julia Zigiotti Olme and Elisabeth Terland, are on our player of the match poll. There are 2 other players you can choose from. That's Melvin Mallard and Hini Miyazawa, as Connor once called her. And so therefore, get on there, have a little look, see who it is you're going to vote for. We'll be closing that in around about 15, 20 minutes or so. We've got to talk a little bit about the contribution from the subs, because that was something that was really built up, I felt, after the game. So obviously Elizabeth Terland scoring in the 88th minute, having come on in the 64th minute, and that just about killed off the game. But the squad depth at the moment has been unreal. Of our 33 WSL goals this season, 10 have been scored or assisted by players coming off the bench, which again I think is quite impressive. And indeed, as the interviewer in the interview from Mark Skinner that I did watch said, that's a record. It's the most of any of the other WSL teams. So we are getting the most goals and assists from the bench, which is, I think, quite a big thing. Now, Becca, considering that Mark Skinner, if you go back a year and a half ago on this channel, when we were talking about Mark Skinner and some of the things that he does in football matches, people were always talking about how his substitutions were too late, he wasn't doing the right things with them. Is this now Skinner's redemption arc when it comes to substitution gate?
I used to feel like the subs were so predictable. It would be 60-minute mark. I used to say, right, it'll be these 3 players, these 2 will come off, and this one and whatever. And now I feel like there's so many options. I was at the Liverpool game with my mum and dad, and my dad was like, right, at half time, what changes do you think I'll make at half time? And I said, oh, well, you could bring this player on, you could bring this one. And after I'd listed about 5 or 6 players, I was like, I actually don't know, because you can do any kind of options of these people, and anything could make an impact. And it's obviously proven that we're, getting these results with the substitutions and the goals from subs. So it almost feels like it's not a starting 11 and subs, it's a starting 11 and second 11, and we can get results from either one. So it's a good place to be in. It's nice.
I think it really is nice. And again, when you look at those players that have come on, they were all in pretty timely sort of situations. I mean, Hannah Lundqvist, we know, was on a yellow card, so Jay Bruyere came on. Lisa Nelson was swapped for Simi Awujo in the 64th minute, along with Elisabeth Terland coming on for Leah Schiller. Rolfer came on as well for Mel in the 57th minute. The only player who was effectively a bit of a sort of a time-wasting substitution, it might have felt like, was Ella Mangerheim coming in for Jess Park with just 5 minutes of the game left to go. Although I'm sure she still could have had an impact at the end of the game with that. Again, Jess, you smiled when I said it, but it does feel almost like he's got this substitution redemption arc, and as has been said in the chat as well, is that down to Skinner, or is it just that we now actually have enough quality on the bench that when we bring them on, they're going to make more of an impact than the days when we didn't necessarily have the depth, even if we thought we did.
I mean, maybe it's a little bit of both. You know, it doesn't necessarily reflect great on our previous squads. It sort of is looking now like maybe he didn't have the players, he didn't trust the players he did have to kind of do the job that was needed. The amount of games that we would be kind of drawing or losing and getting into the 70th minute, and you're thinking, is this man going to make a substitute? Is he going to do anything to change what we're doing? But I think it's like he's a completely different guy this season. And I can't imagine that he's just changed his whole philosophy overnight. So you have to think that maybe the players he's got now, if he's finally got the players that he wants, he knows how to kind of position them, how to get the best out of them, and he's comfortable. I don't know. We're sort of guessing here, but you've got to assume that he's happier with his current team than he has been in previous seasons, from the fact that we are seeing more rotation. You know, how many shows have we had over the last 3-4 years where we have slated him for his lack of rotation? And now it's constant. You know, we're always rotating. Obviously, Hinney and Latiz have played every second of every game in the WSL, but you always get a couple of players like that. And especially, you know, your captain who's also centre back, you don't really change that position. And same with Hinney. She's been so instrumental in the centre there that it's a really important position for us. But yeah, I think this squad, you know, we've already said this squad is fantastic. You've got, you know, we had Rolfo starting on the bench. Insane. Terland starting on the bench. You've got some absolutely incredible players. You've got world-class players that we are starting on the bench, and we can then bring on as impact substitutions, and it's obviously working. And that is such a good place to be in. We have just never, again, I said it earlier, we've just never really been in that position before, where we've had such good quality. And I think not only have we got that quality, a lot of those players are quite versatile. So you can tweak kind of the whole formation. You don't have to necessarily bring on like for like. You can, you know, play people slightly out of position because there is a lot of versatility to these players, which allows for formation changes, you know, slight shifts in positioning, and it can just change the whole kind of dynamic of a game and just makes us a lot more kind of agile, I guess, moving forward, and also harder to predict, especially with having a big run of games. In the past, we've been very, very predictable because we've just not really made any changes, and therefore formation and tactics-wise, we haven't changed. But now we have scope to actually have different tactics, different formations, different players, and, you know, that kind of fluidity that United plays really, really well. So, yeah, I think the squad depth is just incredible, and it's just my favourite thing of this season, to be honest, is squad depth, because we've just been crying out for it for years.
We really have. We really, really have, and I think you're absolutely spot on with that one as well. But it's interesting that as we speak of having a deeper bench and having more ability to bring these players on. Earlier on, people were talking about Elisabeth Terland's comments. So apparently in the Sky Sports interview after the game, she says hinting here. It doesn't sound like she said it out loud. I didn't actually watch it. The interviews afterwards, once I saw the match, I had other things I needed to go and get on with, so I didn't listen to the interviews for that one. But apparently she's getting frustration at not having more game time. Now, I don't know how I feel about this, insofar as if that is what she's getting at, and she feels like she's not getting as much game time, I do feel like sometimes you can look at Mark Skinner and say, yeah, he's not giving her enough time. I don't think Elisabeth Terland can whinge about the amount of football she's played this season. And her return's not bad. 13 goals is pretty good. It's more than Leslie Russo ever scored for us in an entire season. So in that respect, she's doing incredibly well. But if we're in this sort of situation where we're talking about this squad depth, she's come on as a substitute and nailed it. Got herself a goal, cemented the 3 points, given us what we need. You're going to have this. And as Becky says here, we've got 4 competitions that we're playing in. We've got the FA Cup to look forward to. We've got the Sandwich Cup game and how well we've done in that. We've got Europe, obviously, coming up this week that we're about to talk about. And of course, we're still fighting to make sure that if we don't win in Europe, that we get the chance to have another go next season by finishing in the top 3. So all of these things that are happening, is there an element, Becca, I'll go with you first on this one. Is there an element of really she needs to stop in the nice whinging and let her feet do the talking, just like she did there against Leicester? When you brought on, put the ball in the back of the net and make it so that Mark Skinner has to keep Leah Schuller on the bench so that it creates that competition.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the interview I saw, but I think she said something like, you've got a small amount of time to kind of prove yourself and show what you can do. And I came on and I think I did that. Something along those lines, I think, which she absolutely did. And I think before Christmas, we were talking about her goal scoring because, she wasn't getting these opportunities. And it does seem like the competition's now there, that she is coming out determined, proving herself. After Christmas, she's been back on form. She's been incredible. So maybe that's what she needs, is that bit of competition. And we've got a lot of games coming up. Obviously, we're currently playing 1 game a week at the moment, but we'll soon be back to 2 a week, all competitions. And she'll be getting those minutes if she keeps playing the way she is. And I think it's a bit of healthy competition, that we need those options. We need the rotations. We need as many players as we've got. So yeah, I think she'll keep getting more, and she'll just keep proving herself and getting herself on those score sheets.
I'd agree. I think that's what she has to do. I think Gareth actually found the quote. God bless you, Gazza. Well done. Says, I think we've brought in some quality this summer, which obviously gives them a bit of competition. I'm a player that wants to show that I want to play as much as I think I should. Perfect. That's exactly what you want her to do. So that sounds spot on. And that's, like I say, I wasn't seeing anything from her that made it seem like she was ultimately really annoyed. Listen, I'm not scared of Leanne Sanderson because what's she going to do? You're allowed to disagree with people. I know, we had some comments last week that apparently it's funny. If you just disagree with people, then that's censorship, which is taking me back. I'm getting nightmares about people that tell you when you disagree with them, you're censoring their opinion. No, I just don't agree with you. I'm allowed. You don't have to agree with me either. It's a beautiful thing. But yeah, so not fussed about that at all in the slightest. We've got a bit of shade being thrown here. I think it's now down to the player management and managing expectations. So this is down to the manager. And yes, it would be. And there you go. Seems happy on the pitch. Exactly, which is what she did. So there we are. Undeleted Sky recording. My God, it's been a while since we had undeleted Sky recordings. That almost sounds like VHS for me now. I've just got Now TV. You can't even rewind that properly, which is a shame. But yeah, I think the subs generally have done quite well. But there was a little bit of conversation about whether or not Jade Riviere should have been brought on. Hannah Lundqvist obviously was on the yellow card. Probably a sensible decision in terms of trying to make sure there was no forced absence in any future games with Hannah Lundqvist potentially being red carded if she got another one. But again, it meant no Gabby George getting the chance to play at left back. Did we think that was the right thing to do? I know that Lanzell earlier on was saying he would have trusted Hannah to continue. What about you, Jess? What would you have done?
I think it's one of them. I think she probably would have been absolutely fine staying on a yellow. I always think back to the Euros final when Georgia Stanway played like an entire 120 minutes nearly on a yellow card, and we know what kind of player she is. But that being said, as a defender, it only takes one kind of misplaced or mistimed tackle and you're hooked and you're off. So I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I think there's an argument for kind of either side. We've already said that the game was quite physical. Players like Ashley Neville were giving us grief. I think at that point, Rachel Williams had already come off, but obviously you had Rachel Williams on the pitch for a decent proportion of the game. So I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I think there's an argument either way. So I think it's kind of fine. I wasn't too concerned. I would have liked to have seen Jade have a longer rest, because I know I won't say she's injury prone, because she's not, but she picks up little knocks here and there. And I think the way she plays, she's very fast, so she tends to be kind of like a target for fouls, whether that's deliberate or not. That's just how she is, unfortunately, and therefore kind of the risk of injury to it is going to be higher. But yeah, I think that decision was kind of fine with me. I won't kick off at Mark Skinner for that and tell him he's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would kick off either. I think it's just a shame, but again, just shows that his substitutions are sensible, thought through, and again, in a very timely fashion to give Jade a little bit of a run out, but not too much of a difficult one. So there we go. It's people still going on about it, and lovely, Gareth. I mean, you've watched it, so fair play there. And it's all right to be miffed. It's all right to want more. I don't know. I don't think I want to sit there and start going through body language, because I don't know that any of us have got PhDs in that sort of thing, and I haven't seen it, so I can't really discuss it. Either of you two seen this interview that they're talking about?
I've not, but in terms of just going based off what the comments have said, to be honest, I'm not mad about a player being annoyed that they're not getting more game time. Generally speaking, as long as they're kind of not coming out and being super disrespectful, but it shows that they want to play more, they want to get minutes. And for in any team, it's going to be competitive. If you're not competing for your place, then you very likely can get complacent. Yeah. And we've seen, I think Terland really stepped it up the last few games. I think at the start of the season, she was a little bit adrift, in my opinion. Maybe she wasn't, she was getting pulled off the pitch sometimes a little bit prematurely, I thought, which maybe, isn't really fair on her part. But the fact is Saturday, she came on and she got a goal. That's what more can she do? And I think that's absolutely perfect. But I don't think you can, and she wouldn't want this, I don't think you can coddle players and just let them have game time because they've been there longer. In any game, there's always going to be younger players, there's always going to be faster players, there's always going to be better players coming through. So to keep you at the top of your game, you have to be fighting for that place. And you have to have that mindset. If you want to play more minutes, therefore you're going to put more work into training, you're going to perform at a higher level on match day, because you've got to prove that you deserve that spot. You can't just, and from the sounds of it, this isn't what's happened, but you can't just go to the press and say, I want to play more minutes. From what everyone said, and again, not seeing this, so I could be talking completely out of turn, but from the sounds of it, it was very much a case of, I want to play more minutes. I want to perform better so I can get those minutes. I've got a competition now. I understand I've got a competition now, and therefore need to raise my game. By the way, did you see that sick goal I just scored? Which I think is an absolutely perfect attitude to have, to be honest. I can't really complain.
Well, there you go. You've got yourself a fan there. So good job there. And yes, this is it. It's competition. And quite frankly, I'm here for it, because we've waited a long time to get that sort of competition in. So I think that is really quite good. We are going to be closing the player of the match poll momentarily. So whilst I just go away and do that, we'll start with Becca and then we'll go to Jess. Who would you have picked for your player of the match? And then a little 20 to 30 second recap as to why. What did they do that impressed you?
I mean, I don't think I really need to go on too much. It's going to be Zigiotti, and it's an unbiased opinion for once. I think she genuinely deserved it. The goal was perfect. She was just so involved in the game throughout, from start to finish. Had such an impact on so much of the play. So well-deserved player of the match officially, and that's my vote for us as well.
Yeah, I have to say I am going the same way. I think there's an argument for all the players on the poll, but I think Zigiotti was absolutely fantastic. Obviously, banged the first one, was heavily involved in the second one. I won't say she kind of created it, because I think Terland had to put so much work in actually in the box, but that goal does not come about without her pressing. And that pressing is something we have severely lacked, I think, in previous seasons. So I think her all-round performance and what she has brought to this United team has been absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, I thought the whole game just kind of summarised what she's done so far for the United team. I thought she was just relentless. And like the comment pointed out, she was probably the only real entertaining part of the whole game, to be honest.
Indeed. Well, we have closed the poll. We can confirm that Super Melvin Mallard got 4% of the vote. So well done, everyone, for making sure that everybody got a vote. The boss will be pleased. Hinny with 12%. It was always going to be between Julia and Elisabeth Terland. And Elisabeth Terland did manage to get 19% of the vote. But I think it was a foregone conclusion this weekend that Orange and Passion Fruit, Julia Zigiotti Olme, would indeed be the winner and recipient of the All For United WFC Player of the Match Invisible Trophy. So congratulations to Julia for that. A very well earned award, I think. Which just means for the last sort of 10 minutes or so, we're just going to have a little sort of look ahead, because this is one of those wonderful weeks where we've got 2 games in a week, which is always joyful. And of course, if people didn't like it being on Sky Sports on Saturday, then I hate the fact that it's on TNT. Disney now, isn't it? It's on Disney Plus on Thursday evening. Big games coming up. We've got Atletico Madrid. I don't know why I said Thursday. It's not Thursday, it's Wednesday. Why am I losing the plot? But we've played Atletico anyway. And the important thing here is that we've beaten them once already. So naturally, that means we're out, right? Because they're going to upset us. What's going to happen? Big game against Atletico Madrid. Would you make any changes? And if so, what? Either of you. You can fight over this one. I'll let you. Becky, you'll win because Jess can barely move.
I mean, I don't know who I would start, to be honest. I think it's just one of those. Yeah, it is Thursday. I'd be worried that I've booked the wrong flight. I feel confident about it. I feel good. Obviously, we've beaten them before, but it was a difficult game. It will be a difficult game, but given our performance that we've been having over the past couple of weeks, unbeaten in 2026, I think there's no reason why we can't keep that. And I think it's going to be a really fun one to watch. It was a good match previously before all our new signings and our changes, so I think it's going to be a good match. I think we're going to come out 2-0.
I rate that score prediction, actually. Do you know what? I'm really looking forward to it. I think, obviously, I want us to go on and absolutely smash the Champions League, but I am just so proud of the fact that we've got to this point, to be honest. Especially given kind of like the start of the season, we seemed very thin on the ground, kind of numbers-wise. So the fact that we've got to where we are, I am so happy. I think regarding the lineup, honestly, not really too fussed. I think I'd like to see Rolfo start, just for some of that experience and kind of hopefully trying to get the team to keep a level head, let's say. You know, she's got a lot of experience. We've obviously beaten them before, like we said. So, yeah, I think we can do it. I'm scared because I want to say I feel like it's going to be relatively comfortable for us, but I'm concerned about cursing us with my words. So I think I'd rather just stop talking and not even think about how I think we're going to do. But I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be good.
Well, of course, this is one of those wonderful ones where we go back to the old 2-legged sort of situation. And, of course, we've got the game this week, and it is on Thursday. For some reason, I thought it was on the 11th. My mind. So what happens when you get old, everyone? Don't do it. It's not as much fun as you might like to think. But, yes, we've got that game on the 12th. We play again a week later, also on the Thursday. And that time it will be at home. It always used to be that you would talk a lot about having the away leg first, maybe coming away with a draw or a narrow win if you can, just try not to concede. and then bring it back to your home ground and get the win there. Is that something we can be rightly happy with? Do you think it makes much of a difference? Do you think, you look at the way our form's been, our away form at the moment has actually been really quite good? Does it make as much of a difference, do you think, Becca?
No, I think we've proved ourselves home and away. Obviously, it's nice to have the second leg at home. I think that will, benefit us. But we proved we can perform just as well away. So I don't think it will impact it too much. I think we're going to play how we're going to play. I'm weirdly more a bit nervous about the London City game. I feel like that could go either way, depending on how we turn up. It's those kind of matches that you would like to think you'd win, and then you end up wasting points unnecessarily. So I'm weirdly more worried about Sunday's game than I am about Thursday's. But I think they're both going to be great matches.
Jess, does it bother you? Do we read too much into that?
I think it used to be a bigger deal with the away goal advantage, but they scrapped that, didn't they, recently? So I feel like these days it's less of a thing, because I don't know, I just feel like you used to try and kind of do more of a smash and grab when you went away. And you just, I don't know, kind of everyone would be so cautious then in the home games about not conceding. So I don't think it's as big a deal as it used to be. But I think you always obviously prefer your home games, I would say. But I think hopefully the team will just kind of relish the opportunity to be playing European football. So the fact that they can all go to Madrid for this game, I'm hoping actually will kind of spur them onwards. And I'd probably agree that I'm more concerned about London City, because I think they are just so random almost. You never know whether you're going to absolutely batter them 6-0 or if they're going to batter you 6-0. It really depends who they throw out on any given day. But yeah, I think we should be positive and optimistic, and we should get results from both of those games.
We should do. We absolutely should do. We come back for our score predictions at halftime, effectively Thursday, and what we think the ultimate outcome will be. Just before we do, there's a couple of questions and a couple of things that were put on that I starred so that people could have them discussed. Stappen has put in, would Ziggy be an alternative as captain like she was at Brighton? Some seem to consider MLT a bit weak in the role. Not something I've seen, but there we go. I, to be fair, haven't been on Twitter much, so that's not a surprise that I haven't seen it, because Brighton doesn't tend to just appear on the wall, if I'm honest. But not really established in the national team, etc. So what do we reckon? Personally, I'm quite content. I think more importantly, the girls are quite content with Maya as captain. But what do you two think?
I mean, she's been captain for a good few seasons now. So I feel like if there were any genuine issues, I think, there'd have been changes. And the way United have always worked is having that kind of senior leadership team. I'm actually not sure who's in it now. I think Maya, Tooney, and I'm actually not sure of the other players, because obviously we've had so many changes over the last few years. So I think just because you've got a captain doesn't mean that other people can't kind of lead. We've got Zigiotti, like I mentioned before, having to play like Rolfo with that kind of level of experience. I think she brings something that is completely different to a captain. She brings actual Champions League experience, which we don't, obviously a player like Maya doesn't have, because she's so young and United is her first kind of big team. I guess Maya's a little bit of an odd one, but this comment has completely just kind of said what I was going to say, that yeah, she's not really a fixture in England, but that's not really on her. And quite honestly, everyone questions Serena a lot on that. It's not just a case of, we all think that's crazy, why is she not in the team? All the pundits from other clubs are all questioning Serena for not playing more for England. That's kind of out of her control. And that just is what it is. But yeah, I think in terms of captaincy, I think she's more than proved herself. She's playing every second of every game. So I really think she's doing something right. And like I said, it doesn't always have to be solely on the captain. United have always been very good at having that leadership team. And I would assume that is still very much the case. Captain has the armband, but I think a comment put it quite nicely that there should be 11 captains, really. You just have the person that goes and speaks to the ref.
I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it, Becca? I mean, certainly back as I was growing up watching football back in the war, I don't know who got that anymore. Still keep that one? No, it's not there anymore. But yeah, back in the olden days, that's what we used to do, was that you had the captain, they were the one that led by example. But nowadays it is very much a case that some people think the armband really is fairly worthless. It just seems to be, as Jess sort of alluded to there, a key to be able to go and talk to the referee without getting yourself told off. Do you think that's kind of the thing?
I don't think worthless is fair. I think Maya represents a really, important part of the team. I think making Maya captain is probably one of the best decisions Skinner's ever made. I think the confidence in her as soon as she got that just soared, and she's never let the team down in that role. So I think she is through and through our captain. Everyone's behind her, I would like to think. I think if Ziggy's not in the senior, vice captaincy, whatever it is, team, then she should be. But I don't think it should be coming from Maya. I think she has earned it, she deserves it, and I'm behind her as our captain.
This must be Connor's alternative account here. I just wish Scotland had contacted Maya to say if she wanted to play for us. If she had said yes, she'd have over 50 caps by now. Crikey. That's quite something there. We just had someone who put Saf is the real captain in the dressing room. Without her TikTok, we don't know what the interactions are like. She keeps the team together. That could actually be Saf right there, just sending that. Next question. Do we think we can get a second this season? Lansdale thinks it's possible because Chelsea are not looking that great. I'm going to change that question slightly. Is first a possibility? Where do you think we're going to be?
I can't see. I mean, City would have to kind of mess up significantly now. I'm just looking at the table and they are 8 points ahead. So what's that kind of like? They'd have to lose 3 games. Possible, I guess. But I can't see City bottling it, to be honest. I think this is the first season in a little bit, actually, where a team, and especially a team that's not Chelsea, has kind of started to run away with it a little bit. I don't see any reason why, if United stay consistent, we can't get second. I absolutely think that it's ours kind of to lose. We have got some big games coming up, and we've got teams like we've already discussed, like kind of London City, that could potentially trip us up, and it's teams like that have tripped us up in the past. So I think they're the games that are almost more important. It's keeping switched on, and it's not dropping points on the games like the Leicester one we just played. And these kind of mid to lower teams are sometimes actually the ones that trip us up more than the kind of top 3, top 4, because we can easily drop points just to draws without kind of meaning to. But yeah, I think that we can do it. I think we need to keep the pressure on, and we've got to finish the season pretty much flawlessly, but I think we could get second.
There we go. Well, most people saying second or third on that one. And just before we go to our score predictions for the midweek, Brandon did say earlier on, Becca, I didn't get the chance to throw this up in the middle of the chat. Nice to meet you, albeit briefly, on the coach journey to Leicester. Sorry if he ended up in any of the TikToks you were doing. You were saying you had to delete a few. I'm joking.
Yeah, I think probably a few people ended up in my TikTok. Apologise in advance for any more that's probably coming up.
But there we go. So lovely. Good to see people coming along and saying hello. And congratulations for being noticed. It's lovely. Right, predictions. Jess, United, Atletico. What's the score going to be after the away leg?
I'm sorry, Becca, but I'm stealing yours. You shouldn't have said it before. Obviously, you can say the same thing. But I really liked that 2-0 prediction. I'm feeling positive about that. That spoke to me. So I am also going to say 2-0.
And the home leg?
Well, I wasn't expecting that question.
Wow.
I'm just going to say 2-0 again.
Okay, so 4-0 in total. Lovely.
Yeah, very unoriginal.
Becca?
I do think we will concede, unfortunately, but I'm going to go for the home leg. 3-1, so 5-1.
5-1 in total. Well, it was a really good match last time we played, and then obviously Janssen got sent off and a bit of a nightmare. Didn't quite go to where we would have wanted it to. Lanzel, fully agreeing with you there. Philip going for the lovely Spanish scoreline of 1-0, which will be lovely. That made myself giggle there. That's never good. But there we are. So that's it. That's pretty much where we are. 2-1 away, 3-1 home. I think the key thing here is everybody thinks we are going to make it through this round, where we will get the joys of facing Bayern Munich, which would be quite some game, and quite possibly would be an absolute dream for Connor, because that's his lovely little German team. He loves a bit of Bayern. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets himself on a plane to go to that one, or just surf over on his hair. Equally possible. So great stuff. Listen, I've had a great time. Becca, lovely to have you with us again this evening. Thank you very much for your time. Jess, we hope that you are, your nerves get to escape at some point soon, so that you're not quite so immobile as you seem to be at the minute. So thank you both. To the pair of you. We are going to be back. I'm going to say Friday. I'm going to say we'll do one on Friday. I'm going to hope that there's people available on Fridays. We're going to aim for Friday. If it doesn't happen Friday, I might pull the gang together on Saturday and see what we can do, because we're going to want to see what's happening at halftime in the UEFA Women's Champions League. It's going to be absolutely superb, hopefully, if we can get the win. So look forward to seeing you there. Becca, Jess, thank you very much. And of course, we'll be back next Monday to discuss the obvious win over London City Lionesses. It's a title charge. It's coming. See you later.